Yeah, I remember, I think you just came home from work one day and said, we need to plant a church. And like we talked about, it was seeing Marcy and Marwan in Beirut and, the Zellers in Dubai, and seeing that they were there with their families, like you said, in hard places.
Yeah.
So it made my yes very easy. And then thinking back on the implications of that yes, that saying yes meant saying goodbye to this place and saying goodbye to Foothill and the people and the place. But it's still a really confident, resounding yes that this is what's next for us.
Yeah, it is bittersweet, and we've grown up here in many ways, and the Lord has shown His faithfulness in extravagant ways here at Foothill Church, and so I'm really grateful that we have our church body behind us. It's times like these that the larger church is at its finest. When we see, the church on mission, all kind of rowing in the same direction, all thinking about this goal of planting gospel preaching churches, and I'm blown away that we get to be a part of it, and that our family gets to be on this adventure, and to have our home church be behind us is really great.
Let's talk about the name, The King's Church. How did we land on that?
Yeah, that was really intentional. And we went back and forth on the for a while, but we ultimately want to point people in worship, in a posture of worship and submission to the true King. And I think there's a lot of things vying for our attention nowadays in culture and media, but ultimately we want to create a community where we're declaring that Jesus is King and that we are His worshipers, that we are under His authority joyfully. And as a result, that changes the way we live. I think about that verse in Acts 17, verse 6. In the early church, these men who have turned the world upside down have come here also, saying there is another king who is Jesus Christ. And that's really compelling as we think about all the ways that we may live our lives otherwise, but because Jesus sits on the throne, we live in this manner as a healthy church, as a community devoted to kingdom things.
I think my biggest hope is that there will be this gospel revival, not only in the area we're going to, but here and the people around us and the people that hear our story. The gospel is not stagnant, we know that, but we felt it by watching other people step out in faith and take risks, make change, leave what they've known for the sake of the gospel. And so I hope that God, the Lord, uses the King's Church in whatever capacity to just revive the gospel in people's hearts, in their personal spirits and souls, but also in communities.
Yeah, in many ways, I think a call to action for our church to go is really kind of out of our hands. I'm having conversations all the time now about hey, tell us about your church and how can we support, and then there's always this thing in the back of my mind of would they join our core team? Would they be a part of what we're doing? And I really felt a release and peace from the Lord that is really in God's hands in many ways. Ultimately, we're asking that Christians in our church and our community would be faithful in listening to God's calling for their life. I simply am praying for our church that they would be faithful to what God is calling them right in front of them, to reach out to that neighbor, or to be hospitable to the people in their lives, and to have that conversation at work that maybe they wouldn't otherwise. And so I'm really praying that this campaign in many ways kind of raises the tide of missional awareness in that way. And perhaps we would receive some of those people on our team, but if not, the Lord will be glorified either way.
Yeah, I do hope people go with us.
Me too, yeah. It'd be nice to have some friends.